Warnock may have left Aberdeen a decent while ago, but he's been talking about the old firm and also why he left the club. Welcome back to Fog Football. It's early morning here on Friday the 5th of April, and I thought we had tucked Neil Warnock into bed. I really thought we had, but he's opened his mouth. And what should we start with? His comments on the old firm, or why he truly left Aberdeen? You know what, we'll start with his comments on the old firm, because why not? I feel like that's the least important of the two, because it's never going to harm. And he gave the blueprint as to why or how Aberdeen can break old firm dominance next season. Sorry to burst anybody's bubble, right? Aberdeen are not breaking any old firm dominance. I mean, 2 games ago, it looked like they would be in the championship playoff, right? Now, yeah, it looks like Aberdeen will stay up, but I seriously don't understand though how Neil Warnock came into Aberdeen and did one of the worst possible jobs, right, you will ever see in your puff, and is now sitting there, honestly, like trying to pretend that he did. Not that he's trying to pretend he did a good job, but it's almost like, oh, I set them on their way for next season, he came out and said. And now he's got the gall to try and say that Aberdeen could end the old firm dominance. There's only one team, right, in the league that has like a percentage chance of ending the old firm dominance, and that's Hearts, right? Because they've signed a lot of pre-contracts. They probably will keep Shankland, right? And they've overall got a pretty solid team. And we've seen this season that they can go on a run, and that, you know, they've been to Parkhead and they've won now. Yeah, against Rangers, they've kind of, you know, from a Celtic point of view, they've let the side down. But Hearts are still a million miles away from actually challenging the old firm. Aberdeen, yeah, was this the season they could have done something? You know, European money? Absolutely, but their arse went, and it's produced one of the shittiest seasons Aberdeen have had in, you know, quite some time. Probably since the time they should have got relegated, but, you know, they didn't, because the SFA are corrupt. But yeah, I mean, all about stadium capacities and all that, all the shite. But I mean, for him to come out and pretend that Aberdeen's even, oh, this is how you do it. What good's telling Aberdeen this is how you do it in a Daily Record article? Why wouldn't you tell them how to do it when you're actually at the club? It just seems very cheap. You know, but like Michael Beale being like, oh, this is how you stop Ange Postecoglou. Like Steven Gerrard getting sacked, right, in his second season, and then coming out a couple of months later, this is how you stop 10 in a row and get title 55. No, like, you just shut your mouth, man. It doesn't make any sense that he's actually come out and said any of this. Like, it's going to take so much to defeat the old firm. It is. Like, you know, this season has been really poor for the old firm. I mean, neither team is a world beater. I think Clements did a pretty good job with a bang average team. And, you know, the Celtic team, it's suffered for injuries, but both teams have. But I know, for Celtic though, I mean, yeah, they lost Starfelt and Jota, but it is pretty much the rest of the same team. You know, they squandered money in the transfer market, so did Rangers. Obviously, I mean, when you spend that amount of money, man, you expect to go forward, not backwards, and for some whatever reason, the recruitment's been pished for both teams, and they've absolutely both been backwards. No one can tell me that both old firm clubs have not went backwards, man. You look at the two squads, and whatever reason, Rangers let a lot of players go last summer on freeze, whatever, got rid of the players, and they just haven't replaced them. You know, it's not even the freeze. Like, you look at Rangers' forward line, like Kent, Morelos, Cholak, Sakala. I'm sure there's a few other names I'm probably forgetting in the forward lines, but I mean, Cholak, Sakala, Morelos, that's 3 players that scored a lot of goals last season for Rangers. Now, I'm not going to include Kent, because numbers aren't really his thing. But, you know, I just don't think the people that have come in have really done an adequate job. But yeah, Seamus did alright. Dessers has begun to get the numbers, but I mean, we all know our opinions on Dessers. As for Celtic, pretty much everybody that they've brought in has not really been up to the standard. I mean, Paulo Bernardo, maybe. But you look at Nicholas Kuhn, Hugh Keevins went right through him. And you know what, maybe he's actually alright. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, to move on and talk about the real reason why he left Aberdeen, it was to save money. Now, how convinced are you that this is actually the reason that he decided to leave Aberdeen? I mean, I wouldn't actually be surprised. You know why? Because him saying that suggests that they were already on the verge of sacking him. And, you know, if you sack somebody, you have to spend a wee bit of dosh that way. So maybe that's him admitting that he was on the verge of the sack. You know, I mean, the record speaks for itself. The guy didn't even win a Scottish Premiership game. And I'm kind of convinced that if Neil Warnock was still in charge, Aberdeen would be humped. Now, the only thing I think would be saving them is the fact that St Johnstone are absolute dross. I think they're pretty much nailed on for the 11th spot right now. Saved by that ring of the bell, so to speak. But yeah, I mean, it is interesting to hear Neil Warnock come out and say these things. He does spout a load of pish. You know, like, even when he left, he's like, oh, I've put everything in motion for the guy to come in next season. And it's like, no, you haven't, because there's so much for Aberdeen Football Club to do. Like, yeah, he got them in to, like, the semi-final, and then he just left straight after. It's like, what are you doing, Neil Warnock, son? Don't understand it. Do not understand it in the slightest. Why he was even appointed. I mean, a lot of people's like came in and bashed it, Michael Stewart and co. And you know, you cannot blame them. It's not a good look for Scottish football. It's really, really not. A bit of a disaster, to be truthful, for Neil Warnock in Aberdeen. I mean, it was just expected to be this, oh, he'll come in, he'll steady the ship, and you know, he came in, and before he even walked on the ship, he put a hole in the side of it. So it is what it is. Come on, Jake, what are you doing? Dog's digging on a public path. What are you doing, big man? Anyway, that's where we're going to leave this video, troops. Neil Warnock, spouting pish, but yeah, wish him all the best. We Neil Warnock, yeah? Hopefully he'll get... Brendan Rodgers will be gone soon, he can get a Celtic job for a wee old jolly.